Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court and other court issues, as well as CPS. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie. Since 2016, Monica Shimonik has been coaching moms and dads as they navigate through the treacherous waters of the family law racket. Aside from workshops which help with specific problems, she has her 12-week signature course, The Best Interest of the Parent, uses a 4-quadrant model to create a robust healing and empowerment system so that you control the narrative of your life, not the state. You can use the coupon code Slam the Gavel to get 10% off the course, and it will be in the website notes of this podcast and other podcasts. Okay, so today I have Cheryl Kennedy on, and the last time I had her on was April 8th of 2021, and we had a great discussion involving government issues, and she's back, and we're going to talk some more. So good
Yes,
evening,
we are.
Cheryl.
Hi, Marianne. Thank you for having me.
Oh, definitely.
Well, first off, I'm going to just start a brief comment, just because it really has me pissed off. We're going into the 4th of July, and, our nation still is not restored to an American government or a republic. And, it's very British, it's British usurped, besides a lot of other usurpation. And the military still has not done a coup or anything to restore our nation. And they are doing military tribunals. If you look at BitChute, you'll see a lot more. The military has been in the news a lot more, which is good. But it's still this dragging out, like their total lack of regard to the American people and this nation. It's disgusting how us, as you're a victim of corruption in the courts, I'm a victim for 17 years, and it's still like no one can, get their act together. Mm-hmm. And I was happy to see today Trump calling out General Milley, because he should be arresting the 47-year stooge Biden, communist China puppet. Nevertheless, that lying, black rights violating fraud Kamala Harris, who is in my case from years ago, and mm-hmm. their cover-ups that just go on and on and on with total lack of regard to all Americans. They do not represent the American people. Many of them are British agents. As you know, the titles of nobility, they're British agents, many of them, especially these attorneys. Mm-hmm. And, it's disgusting, and they really need to be arrested, and the whole Congress needs to be arrested. I could see the newbies getting off, but the Cuomo, I have Schwarzenegger, I have a lot of political losers and traitors in my case, from my subpoena back years ago in 2008 of Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and Brown, and the corruption I contended with in San Mateo Superior Court, then how it led on to Cuomo in Ulster County, New York, where they're terrorists, and what I've been through. And I've been waiting for a wrongful conviction to be overturned by the Attorney General Letitia James. But, it's beyond ridiculous that this same sham keeps going on, and no one is responsible to the American people. And, we have tons of victims in all these courts. These courts are, they're torture houses. They need to be shut. The Department of Defense, people are hostages in these courts. The Department of Defense should have this shut down. And, it's ridiculous that this still is going on. So I just wanted to mention just a few of those things. And Trump knows too. Trump knows I am just furious, and I'm glad to see him bashing Milley, because Milley has to either be arrested himself, or he needs to start arresting, or others need to start arresting. It's ridiculous. And I want to start off too with Facebook and national security. As I've brought up national security, there is no national security. There hasn't been national security in decades. This all usurpation goes way back in time. But from my own experience, I learned Britain was in here, I don't know, in around that 2007 range, somewhere in that time frame. And, we're all still paying the price for this. And, but I ended up, I'm actually presently, which I'm very unhappy about, I'm under national security right now, as I am a big whistleblower. And but I don't want to be under it. As I've brought up, on their website, they say they abide by the Constitution, but they don't. And I do believe the general there, Nakasone, and the inspector general, I believe they do want to bring my case and other situations that I've been involved with public. But, there are a lot of enemies and traitors, So, of course, there is risk to me, and everybody really. But, because people, they're gaslighted. People don't want to tell the truth, especially in the military. Generals, like Donald Rumsfeld just died, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw a story on him, how he killed, the story said he was responsible for like 400,000 deaths. And, if you look at these wars, they were started under the Bush and Cheney and all that. And really, it's really for Britain that these wars were started. These were not, and it's really a deception to all the military soldiers and everybody that's been in these wars. So, and the harm it has occurred. So, so there's a lot of different issues. But I've really become more acquainted with this whole thing of national security. And I realize, too, I've been under national security at other times, like when I was unlawfully detained in jail. And another time that I've now that I know more about national security or how it operates, their spying and things of that nature, which is a big rights violation, a right to privacy. And how now I understand why Snowden fled the country, in how they look at your phone records. They, Facebook. Now, Facebook has really aided a de facto government and how they spy through Facebook and look at your friends or into your information. So there's a lot of issues for Facebook. And I think Zuckerberg, I think he should be arrested, really, because you know what? You don't know what other usurpation, like be it other foreign countries that could be even also infiltrating, him, Twitter, they're all into censorship, which aids this foreign de facto government, in blocking free speech, First Amendment, so there's a lot of issues with Facebook. And even I've stated to the, NSA, the generals are there, you don't know, even in their own facility, who is also involved from a different another usurpation too, spying on military generals or any aspect of anybody, and how Americans are being spied on. It's a total violation under the Constitution, and they're not acting constitutionally at all. So there's really, really big issues with NSA. And I think they need to really, I think they should shut it down. And really refocus on how they're going to operate that facility, like most of the government needs. There's so much restructuring that's needed in all aspects of government, to really bring back a constitutional government, our republic, and restore it. And, and they got to get these fraud politicians out who don't represent us, all the no jurisdictional jackasses that run around like they're leaders and they're not. And how they don't even say, like, have you ever seen any politician ever say anything about their county, like someone's being harmed? No. Meanwhile, there's tons of people being harmed in their county government. So it's really disgusting what exists. And then I also learned, some of the things in this national security, I can't even explain to you. I can't even tell you what I've been through in the last 3 weeks. It's been so bizarre. It's not even funny. But, the military and the Pentagon have wanted to get to know me in a sense. But, and then, they know I bash them around and everything. And, because I don't like how everything's operating. And I do always realize, too, how I don't know who's there really listening to me. But I actually, what's really bizarre is I encountered one morning, this is going to sound strange, but one morning, all of a sudden, I was laying down, and I look up, and I have Julian Assange from WikiLeaks looking at me. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what the hell is this, right? And so meanwhile, what's weird when I start looking into it, there's a whole big thing going on with him right now with, he's actually incarcerated or held in Britain right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger Waters from Pink Floyd and Julian Assange's father and his brother, they've been taking up issues to have him freed, because I guess the US is wanting to extradite him under the Espionage Act of 1917 here to the United States. So I have commented to them. And I mean, I don't really know what he exposed. It ties back into the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan from like 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, here we are, we have a usurped nation. So, I mean, you can't, you know, it's, you know, you can't be using the Espionage Act really, because it is usurped. And so to me, he should be freed, you know, and even Snowden, I'm like, now I understand why he was freed. And what's funny is I always have wanted to, I know I'm a big whistleblower, and I've always wanted to have like an interview with the both of them, you know, because they're known as big whistleblowers. Here in the US, you know, whistleblowers are covered up. But, you know, whistleblowers need to be respected. I mean, what exists is, you know, terrible for whistleblowers in the US. And they really need to devise, like in NSA, they have a whistleblower protection program. But I don't believe that they should, like the violations of my rights that I'm having now with their NSA program, you know, it's just another violation. And I really think they need to revamp that whole program and handle whistleblowers in a different way. And, you know, whistleblowers do a good service. Not that I had never had an intention of being a whistleblower. It just kind of all evolved, you know, and I've been involved in a lot of different aspects of government and in different situations. But, you know, it's not anything I ever chose to be doing. You know, it just kind of happened.
Well, you know, like I say, advocacy chooses you sometimes.
Yeah, it did. It did. And because I'd always be outspoken, you know, so, you know, plus I was a crisis interventionist, you know, to me, I'm like, this is a major crisis and it's still going on and there's nobody in charge, you know? So, you know, the whole thing is, you know, pretty crazy. And I really think both of them should be freed. And I mean, Snowden should have never had to flee to go to Russia to expose what the NSA was doing, how they'll, you know, I know now from what, there's some things I've experienced here. I say to myself, I go, I can't even friggin' believe this. But, you know, like how they'll go back in your phone records. I know they've gone back in my phone records. You know, I don't, who do I pose a threat to a de facto government? I'm an American, you know, they've been violating my rights for how many years, you know? And I think all of us, I think the court crime victims know more about what's going on than anybody, you know, because they know how nobody operates, nobody does anything. It's ridiculous, you know, and we're still sitting here and, you know, so many people need to be freed from these courts, their cases resolved, children returned, all these different things, you know, and for years, I've called for the freeing of the American hostages, you know, because we are hostages in these courts and they're admiralty courts. You know, they're a mess. The whole court system is a mess, you know, it's not constitutional. And so, I mean, we have so many problems here and they're sitting around going on with the same bullshit different year. You know, it's disgusting. And they parade these assholes around who represent no American. It's disgusting, you know, I don't know. So I've had it with the whole thing, you know, and then the other thing they do with me is they drive, like, I don't know who's comes with me, but like they'll come in my car, they come with me, they'll follow me wherever I'm going, they joyride with me. It's like such a, I can't even tell you, it's crazy, the whole thing. And then I even had Obama. One day I look up, I see Obama looking at me. I go, oh my gosh. And, you know, I can't even tell you. I'm always calling somebody out that the whole thing is, I can't even go into it because it's hard for me to explain really. But it's been an interesting experience to say the least. And, but it's another violation of my rights, which I can live without.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and, but this, I could see there's some aspects of spying, where you had someone who was like a terrorist group or cartel, or something like that. But, Americans shouldn't be being spied on at all. They're always
Mhm.
by a de facto government, so there's really serious problems in their surveillance and the violations of privacy and laws and rights and everything, so. And I found myself playing like war games with some of the military heads and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
bizarre.
Uh,
But, so they know I'm like, I've had it. Like, I'm like, I want this government shut down. And so I've been calling for lockdown and, I'm going to say Kilday, who's the head of the Navy. I'm like calling for the warships to like surround the country. I'm gonna get these British enemy combatants out of this nation. I'm like, I've had it with that.
mhm.
I don't even want to see these people in the news or anything
Mhm.
about them. Christie, I can't stand him. He's such a criminal with the Hurricane Sandy and all these programs are like terrorism, domestic and foreign terrorism, these storm programs, and how
Mhm.
the bar and all the bar associations really need. I mean, the bar association is what's controlling everything pretty much besides the Federal Reserve or the banks, but that's who really runs most of the country is the bar. And
Mhm.
that's why our courts are a mess. Everything's a mess. And they're the ones who are in charge and everybody just goes along with it. It's astounding. It really is astounding.
I think they
And
don't know what to do with it either, or
it,
they're
it, it,
afraid to, or even if they complain about it, nothing gets done. They
nothing
just
gets done.
the pa-
Nothing
their
gets done.
yeah, their complaints get thrown out. It's how many complaints have I made against attorneys and judges, and nothing
Hmm.
is unethical enough. I don't know what they have to do to be unethical, but
Well, I mean, I don't find it very hard. I've given back many months ago. I said to Trump and a few others in the military, I'm like, just shut your freaking capitals down. Your major crime scenes are your capitals, your courts, and the county governments. Shut them down. Shut the bars down. Get rid of the bar association. I mean, I don't know if the American bar is really American or if it's usurped. I don't know, but the whole system, even from the colleges, from Harvard, Yale, all of this comes from the colleges too. And there's just so many issues and there's so much different usurpation. I don't know if they've started cleaning up any of it or not. And I do think they are arresting people. And as I said, they are doing military tribunals. And like you saw that story with Bill and Hillary Clinton, there's so many people who need to be arrested who are politicians. And I really think there should be, like I look at this over the years, like with Harris and Obama and Holder and Cuomo and all of them, like they could have been making changes over the years,
mhm.
and they did nothing. They just let it get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And, so to me, they should have public executions of these people
Mhm.
for their treason, sedition, crimes against humanity, the fraud that they are in aiding Britain, I mean, and other usurpers potentially. And so to me, for this 4th of July, I really, I still want the nation shut down. Like even now, we're going into the 4th year imminently. But as far as I'm concerned, if it was shut and everything, then we're starting fresh. I think the
Mhm.
military should really take over for a certain period of time before they reseat the government. And there's got to be changes to how it's structured and things of that nature and operations. They could be working on all this already, but, and not haven't implemented it. But I mean, they can't even shut it down. It's ridiculous.
Mhm.
And I've been going on at them like for the last 3 weeks about it. And here we are, and they still haven't done it.
Mhm.
And then we have all the issues with the media, that covers it up. And, it's such a cover up overall by so many different groups. And, so I don't know. It's just terrible that we keep paying the price. Well, all Americans are paying the price daily, for
Mhm.
the charade that they have going on.
Mhm.
And so it's really, really, really terrible, that it's still even in existence. And to me, it's just stupidity. It really
Mhm.
is stupidity. It
Mhm.
astounds me, the stupidity. It
Mhm.
really does. It just, I mean, even I just can't believe it sometimes. I go, there's a sign not far from my house. It says, "You can't fix stupid." I'm like, yeah, you can't fix stupid and you can't fix evil. You got to take it down. You got to take a chopping block to all this stuff, all the structure. I mean, a lot of this government should be shrunk. And, even, this, what's his name? Um, McAfee, who just was, I think, he was probably killed in jail. Did you see him? What was his
Yeah,
first name? I can't.
I can't. I know.
He was he owned McAfee. It's like a software company from
Right.
many, many years ago. But here he was being extradited for the IRS, and that's another sham and a half. Trump. They're after Trump now on tax. I just sent Trump the other day. I sent because there is this. It's called Freedom School. It's tied to the IRS. This IRS agents from years ago. I encountered this, and about how. There is no place even written that you have to pay taxes. And, and so, and plus it's all from the de facto government. All of this stuff is created under this de facto government.
Mhm.
And, really, no matter, the government to me should just self-fund. They've, they've been bringing in a new money system forever too, which wasn't really hard
Mhm.
to do either, but it's been going on forever. The quantum financial system and
Mhm.
keeping the monetization of the fraudulent Federal Reserve, which is like, pull money out of a hat. So they're always printing money anyway. So
Mhm.
just print money for your operations and,
Mhm.
and end the whole tax structure.
Well, that you were mentioning, you were asking his first name is John McAfee. He was an
Yeah.
antivirus software magnate. He was found dead in a Spanish prison, apparently he hung himself.
Yeah. I don't buy that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's another situation. It's just like this Espionage Act with Assange, and with this IRS BS, um, and here this guy now is dead over it. And, the IRS to me is a fraud, just like most things are in this government. So
It's sad. It's too bad.
it is sad. It is sad. So, yeah. So, so it's been interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
But
And I feel sorry for all these young people growing up in this country. It's not like how, it was 30 years ago or 40 years ago. I wish I was bored way back in the 30s or something. You know
mhm,
what I mean? I don't know if things were a little bit more honest back in the, 1910s,
mhm.
1920s, but it's just nothing is fair. Nothing is, I don't know, what am I, just not real. It's like you said, everything's a sham nowadays. It's
It
just,
is all a sham. It's all treason, and they're all traitors, and
hmm
but and that's the thing, is they could have done a lot to change things, and nobody ever did, and that's what's really sad. And a lot of people paid the price,
hmm
unfortunately, for years now. I mean, I can't believe as an American that my rights have been violated like beyond measure. And even now they're being violated here by an NSA. I'm like, if you're going to take responsibility, just do it.
hmm
If you're going to bring me public or whatever, just do it. What are you going to sit here horsing around with me for like weeks, already? It's like, come on, I don't want you infringing on my rights any more than you already have.
hmm
And, so it's been an interesting experience to say the least.
hmm
And I definitely don't want to be on national security ever again at
Yeah, I
all.
mean,
You
yeah,
know?
'cause you've been through a lot already too.
Yeah, I know. you know, so, and I don't really find it like I don't really find it as security personally, you know, at all. Um, you know, so,
Mhm.
you know, so, you know, and I'm always, you know, I'm always protecting myself in some way, shape, or form. Because, you know, like even in this experience, like sometimes I sense energy of people and things, and I'll do things, I'll say things, or I'll do things to protect myself,
Mhm.
um, in some way, shape, or form. You know, but it really is an invasion of privacy and violation of your rights, and they really need to really look at how they're handling this. And I don't think whistleblowers. I think whistleblowers. I mean, right now we're still into this de facto government sham, you know, but you know, and if you look at the whistleblower programs, I never went to them because they're always international. And then it
Mhm.
was funny because there's one whistleblower group when Kamala Harris was running in the election. I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to write that whistleblower group just to see, you know, if they do anything, you know. And of course, you know, they didn't, you know, they wrote, oh, well, you know, we can't help you, which, you know,
Right.
that's the normal, the
Standard
normal,
letter.
yeah, standard. So, but I said, I never, and for years, I've never wrote because I know they're international and that, and anything I see international, I never bother with anyway. But I said, oh, let me just do it just to document. I do things just to document things sometimes, and or, you know, make a statement of some sort.
Mhm.
And then I also have this thing going on, you know, like I'm my case in California. There's this big cover up at San Mateo Superior Court, and you know, here's now years later. I think I did bring this up to you already. Was this Scott Peterson case?
Mhm.
All right. He had killed his wife and baby. And he's been in jail for, I don't know how many years now. I think since like 2004. And that's the year actually I'm defrauded in that court, actually. And here they've been bringing out, they want to reopen that case. So I, of course, was taking a stance about it. And it actually comes out of Kamala Harris's office. So I'm like, she's so unlawful. This cannot, and it's such a bullshit issue. They're making over one juror to reopen this case. And I've taken up stuff with the judge. Her name is Judge Masula, and this attorney, Ed Harris in particular. And I've even contacted Lacey Peterson's mother and a friend and stuff like that, because I'm like, you know, he should never, you know, with the corruption that they have going on, right? To want to reopen this case. They've done a whole bunch of media on it and all
Mhm.
this and that, you know. And so I was going to write him personally. And this other man, there's a case in my county. I wanted to write him for his side of the story, who he did murder his wife at this law firm of this attorney, Lisa Degoni, who's in my case. And she's a psychopath or whatever she is. She's very evil. I call her Fang. And it ends up, so I wrote Pat Harris the other day, and because I had made it comments, I said, I want the military to execute him. I said, because this should never even be open from under Harris's office with the fraud that she is, never less the cover-ups in that court. And so I wrote him again the other day, and I said, because now they've gotten it okay that he won't get the death penalty, but they still want to try and still reopen the case further. And so basically I said, well, you either ask him for a confession, or tell him I want the military to execute him. You know, so
Mhm.
now we'll see if he gives a confession. But what was wild too is there's this man, his name is Horsley, Don Horsley, and now he's back last year. Now I've written the Board of Supervisors many years ago, and then last year, before Harris came out, I started writing this bunch of Board of Supervisors, and I didn't know Don Horsley was the sheriff. Now I had gone to the sheriff's department in like 2006, you know, complaining about my case. You know, of course they did nothing, and but he's now one of these Board of Supervisors. So I was asking him to step down, but you know, of course they're all so entitled. You know, of
Mhm.
course he didn't step down, and and he was involved with the Peterson case too. And, but it just goes to show you how these people they really just think they're so entitled,
Mm-hmm.
and they do nothing for the people in the community if people need help. And it's really terrible. And even I had been, before I knew that he was the sheriff at the time, I had been asking them to have this other sheriff, who's another one who shouldn't be there really. I could go into a whole variety of things with him, but it ended up, I found out this guy Horsley's son is a deputy. So I'm like, he could have had his son arrest people, but of course he didn't, because I was like, I want a variety of people arrested in that county. Plus I exposed a whole bunch of cases there, and I've talked about it, all these people with the heart attacks and all that stuff, like years ago, so, it's just astounding how entitled these people are, and how there's just no accountability by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
For decades now, for me, there's just nobody. There's just nobody who's accountable. And then Harris, she runs around like she's some leader. I'm like, what a bullshitter she is. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand her. And I dealt with her, she allowed a lot of harm to me and my family. I really despise her.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them I despise. But I had her for like years. I was talking to her office and stuff with her. And it's just their inability to be leaders, really. And who knows what anybody does. I don't know what any of these people do, as far as investigations or whatever. I don't know. And that's what Holder, Obama, and then there's a lot about, racism. And I look at all of them and I'm like, there are a whole bunch of, they make this whole big thing with whites and, white supremacy and all this, and all this racial stuff, but it's really not racial issues. There's corruption issues and serious crimes happening to people, and they're all a bunch of black rights violators. I mean, when Obama came into office, I was so happy I said, oh, because the blacks always took up their rights, but who knew he was going to be turned into like someone, and I always thought he was going to do things. And then, basically everyone got screwed over, so I have no respect for him. And, it's just, unreal how just nobody takes any responsibility, for their positions.
Right. I think that's what this whole nation has turned into. No one's taking responsibility for their actions. They get away with, not being held accountable. And it just, like you said, even in the courts, it just, no accountability. And no one's really overseeing these people.
No one oversees them. No. I know I'm waiting on this wrongful conviction, like I've had it. Like I'm like, I never should have even been indicted. I mean, the crime in the case is just unbelievable. And here I'm paying the price now, like 4 years almost since, this whole thing started. And I'm still waiting. And it's ridiculous. So, there's, just nobody who's responsible. And even that Cuomo's even sitting free is disgusting. There's so many different things with him. And,
because the last time we talked, I thought he was near arrest, that they were going to arrest him.
Well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of things between the nursing home stuff. There's so many different things with Cuomo. And, and he could be arrested in my case easily because I was contacting him. I had the whole thing with Schwarzenegger and the conspiracy that goes on with that, and my contacting him, and then the assaults I went under him, as Attorney General. Well, more so, it was halted more so when he was Attorney General. I don't know who was involved with the halt, but his governor, he just let. Like Suffolk, there's a county, Suffolk County. The story of that little boy, Thomas Valva. Who, that's in Suffolk County. Suffolk County is very corrupt too.
Oh, it is.
My county here is very corrupt too. I know a variety of stories here, and but I look at those two as I know all the counties have different corruption, but those two are the more well-known ones for me here. At least I know a few different victims in that county. And, it's just, everything is a mess, everything. And
it seems like everywhere I hear from other parents or other people I talk to, is like, this county's corrupt, Tarrant County's corrupt. All these counties are just running, I don't know, just running wild. They're just corrupt.
Yeah, they do. They just do whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. When I counted, I don't know how many people tied to my case here in Ulster County. There's got to be like over 100 people between all these different things. And, but, I'm like saying to the national security, why aren't these people still arrested? That's a threat to me, if anything, to my security or other people's security in the county, because to me, they're terrorists. I mean, they terrorize me in my home, terrorize me in a jail, they terrorize me in a psych unit. I feel like terrorized like repeatedly by them, in so many different ways, and assaulted, and oh my God, it's like crazy, They are really terrorists. And there's this terrible story too. It's about a man, I want even the new DA removed, who came in because, some people, he may have come in, he wanted to finally clean up some stuff, but you know what? They're all part of the whole thing. So you really can't keep them in there. And it's a case of a man, he had his head bashed in with a baseball bat. And the DA, who's the head DA, the case is so corrupt. And this guy, who's now the new DA, was actually representing that family. But there's so much corruption that goes on in the case. And, that I'm not going to go into all the details about it. But, I'm like, he shouldn't even be the DA because of what he was involved with in that. And I think he knew about stuff in my case, plus all the other people there. You want to change things over, but if you have all these same corrupt people, even if you get rid of somebody who's really corrupt, say, these other people have gone along with these different cases and indicted people unlawfully. I mean, I know some stuff from when I was in jail too, a case I exposed. And, you really need to just clean house of all these people. You really just can't just keep them in there. And to have crooked DA offices is like, that's an atrocity right there. To have, when they're the criminals, prosecuting people, but and nevertheless, the judges, and oh my God, it's like a mess. So you really need to clean house of a lot of people. So I wouldn't keep I would get rid of a lot of these people. Even
there's too many foxes in the hen house.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I don't know, but and here we have the military still sitting here going, oh, how do we take authority? How do we take authority? They're still wondering. Yeah. It's like, come on, just shut it down.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard is that? It's not that hard.
Well, so. I was listening to someone talk, and they were saying that, it wouldn't be a country of Republicans and Democrats. It would be a whole new different government entirely.
It does. It needs to be the whole Democrat-Republican system is the biggest sham and waste, and it's part of this whole de facto sham anyway. They really do need to have a totally new structure. I don't even know if they should have a president and vice president. I don't know. I'm mixed on that myself, just have some representatives from these states. I think the military should maybe always stay in charge. I mean, you don't want to ever have like a real, I mean, the military could corrupt itself too, and so right. You have to have some sort of oversight of that too. But I don't know. I'm mixed on how I'd restructure it. But, that's the thing. People need to come together, try and figure out what's going to be best. You don't need this pomp, those are the clown freak show act with the raising of money, all the lobbyists, all that needs to go, raising funds, all that needs to go. And then who knows even what the ballots and all that with the Dominion voting machines and all that, So, I mean, there's a lot of restructuring that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with the whole thing,
Yeah, it's like we have to sit back and watch and see what's going to happen, and this could go on for years.
Well, that's why, I mean, that's why to me it's important that that this 4th of July to me is really important. That I'm like, is this going to be another fake 4th of July? Like what we have the same happy horse shit going on that
Mm-hmm.
they can't become authorities for it. It's like, come on already. Shit, and
Mm-hmm.
get off the pot,
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. I tell them off. What do I say? I say, man up, I fessen up. And what is my other thing I say to them? I go, strap them on, gentlemen, strap them on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's time to take the USA back. It's time, it is take the USA back. Oh gosh. So.
Well, I also think in the schools, kids aren't being taught, like even about the Vietnam War. I don't even know what they're teaching them as far as history goes.
Yeah, I think the educational system, I really do think a lot about the Constitution needs to be taught, like, 'cause even back when I think back, when I first started, like, I mean, I always knew we had rights, but I remember when my rights were first being violated, I started talking about the Constitution and stuff. And I don't think at that time it was really spoken about the Constitution in the news so much as it is nowadays, but,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about it, but it's not abided by. So what good is that?
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. So, the Constitution needs to be abided by. And I mean, to have no due process. I mean, that's why I go to jail. I have no due process. I mean, even I had nobody to talk to, because the way they were violating me with this attorney, where they really used me to incriminate myself, which I didn't even know I was happening because I had no one to talk to. And I don't even think I was even indicted. I had some man yelling, "This is bullshit," at the grand jury. And plus, none of the judges couldn't, they were all, should have been recused. Every one of them. There was some issue with each one of them.
Oh, yes.
So there was so many different things. And I really don't even think they indicted me. I told them, I said, the DA is defrauding you. Not to indict me. I was filing stays. I was doing all sorts of stuff, and, but, they're going to do whatever the hell they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I was under a total psych assault and,
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of stuff, and I couldn't have my own attorney, or I couldn't hire an attorney, and, for like 5 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like crazy. It's like, oh my God, it was like a total assault.
Oh,
So,
that's terrible.
so yeah. So, I mean, it's an easy wrongful conviction, I mean, I understand you got to review everybody and all that. It's not hard,
Right.
because nothing was done lawfully in any way, shape, or form. So it's not really that difficult, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see what happens here.
Definitely.
But I do hope the military comes in. I'm going to be giving this to them anyway. And I know they'll listen anyway, because they know I've had it with them. And I'm like, I ain't doing anything for you ever. I never wanted to work. It's so funny because I think back, like, I remember, like, I couldn't believe, I'm like, oh my God, Britain's in here. And, to me, my mission has always been to, like, restore the country for years. I'm like, I never really wanted to work for the government ever. And, and I know they want me to do something, but I'm at this point with them that I'm like, I ain't doing anything for you ever, because no one can make decisions. No one takes authority. I go, what do I want to get involved with that crap for?
Yeah.
I've lived it for how many years?
Yeah, you've been there and done that.
Yeah, been there, done that, and I'm done with it. If you can't make a decision, I don't want to be involved with you ever.
Right, really.
I can make tons of decisions.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Some people can't. I guess they can't.
no, they can't. They can't. Some people can't. They have a hard time. So,
Well,
so yeah. So, the only thing I did want to say is, for anybody who's in militia, I want militia to really, become cognizant that this nation has to be restored. And I'm also going to say this word, cowabunga, and I know military people will understand it, cowabunga, and it's time to take the USA back. And it's time we have a real 4th of July, and it is exposed that what exists, to tell the truth, about what we have. And I want to see everybody in handcuffs in the Congress and others like Cuomo, Christie, Schwarzenegger, Kamala Harris, Biden. I want handcuffs on all of them before this 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I've heard other people say that as well. So.
All Americans deserve better, and it's time the United States of America, we the people. I even have on my land of the free, home of the brave. I'm like, well, that don't exist.
Right. Yeah.
I have my shirt on. It's like, come on, we all have the right to our to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We the people.
Yeah, the
U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
Let's have some justice here for a change and restore our freedoms, our rights, our lives, and the nation back to American, a republic.
Yes.
So that's all I have to say.
Well, I'd like to have you come back on when, if you have anything more that's happening that you know of.
Okay, sure. Yeah. And we did great. We got 45 minutes.
Awesome. We did good. Well, don't jump off yet. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in the family courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again with Cheryl and other guests I've got coming on here at Slam the Gavel. So thank you again, Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy 4th of July. Let's pray our nation's American. Let's pray our nation's American. Yeah. And that the military gets the message from this podcast.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Marianne. Take care.